Hi, my name is Breger and I fly down from Goa at this for now, but normally I'm from Germany and I live since many years between those two countries and super happy to be back in Australia. I see myself more in the more traditional minimal techno, what kind of died out. And we still have to also talk Xenon, for example. It was such an early influence for many people. That's really nice. I was blessed having an underground culture around us. So for me, bush techno is like another interpretation of what psychedelic music can be. I don't want to name names, but it's all like the scenes are like super refreshing. I definitely want to make a new album. That's in the making since a long time. I worked for a lot of other labels from all my friends. And to go through this process is very important because it normally pays off. People also who buy music appreciate labels when they don't give up. Because techno also in some cultures ran quite in a dead end. The border between underground and mainstream doesn't seem to be there so much anymore.
Hello everybody from Free Range Gathering in Canberra, and as always interviewing artists. I've got with me one of the headliners of tonight's event, and I will let you, brother, introduce yourself for the viewers who may not know you.
Hi, my name is Breger and I fly down from Goa at this for now, but normally I'm from Germany and I live since many years between those two countries and super happy to be back in Australia.
Welcome to Australia. As I understand, this is not your first time to Australia. When were you here before?
I just came 2019, just like shortly before COVID hit the world. So it was very interesting also to see now what the difference is 5 years later. And yeah, so I always kept Australia in a good memory because after that COVID came and then 2 years of no movement. So Australia was always very happy memories.
You have traveled and played in many different countries. So what, as far as music is concerned and the music scene and the crowd, what are your impressions about Australia as compared to other countries? Is there anything different or just...
Yeah, good question. I mean, I see also a lot of parallel things, like one of the main, what is even more important, which country you are, is like if you are in a city or in a small town or more like on a bush side, that kind of social behavior is like very timeless, this is what I like. Reminds me also on a party I went to Costa Rica, for example, some years ago, like very similar spirit, similar taste in music, similar clothing. The social interaction might be a bit different. The topics are different from country to country, of course. But like the passion is very similar, you know what I mean? But what I see here compared to 5 years ago is that it feels like a younger generation again grows up and takes over a bit in a great way. This, I feel, it's like a mushroom all over, which is like, it's a strong culture. It makes me happy to see also a lot of new faces, I think.
And what about like Australian sound as far as like techno and maybe psytrance, but mostly techno? How is it much different? What do you think? Where does it stand in the world, and what sort of contribution to the whole like techno music you think Australia may have male Australian artists?
No, there are a couple. I mean, not only techno, of course, but when we talk about techno, then we still have to also talk Xenon, for example. It was such an early influence for many people. That's really nice. It's like because they started some years earlier than others, they had like so much impact and influence in the long term also. Now 20 years later, then you can see how it all spiraled up and brought it on a higher level. that's very nice, because they kind of close the gap between techno and psytrance a little bit, or they tried, or they're still doing it in a great job. I think that was one big impact. And then more in recent days, all the bush techno thing is also very admirable, because it translates like traditional progressive house techno patterns in a different way, like an updated, remixed version, more relaxed, which I really appreciate. That there's room for some romance also without being too cheesy. Sometimes it happens, of course, but I see myself more in the more traditional minimal techno, what kind of died out field. But so for me, bush techno is like another interpretation of what psychedelic music can be. And again, it helps to heal techno in some ways, because techno also in some cultures ran quite in a dead end, I feel. And something like Australian music always offers a sideway, that's cool. Like there's always an exit door where you can go.
That's interesting to hear your perspective on that. Who are currently your favorite artists, or in like minimal techno, let's say psychedelic techno, bush techno, whom currently you are sort of really vibing with?
You mean in general?
In general, yeah.
In general, I came completely back to my old school roots, which is more breakbeat, broken beats, little bit of drum and bass, a lot of dubstep influenced. Like I discovered again this new generation from like cities like Bristol, very classic dance floor music. But I was fascinated to see that there, I don't want to name names, but it's all like the scenes are like super refreshing. And there are also a couple of people who do even something like dark prog, Xenon-orientated music. They are not really connected, but I can hear this, the way how they treat all the plugins, the modern plugins, is very refreshing. They are 20 years old. They could all be my sons and daughters, no problem. But they give me a lot of input, and I love to use that style again for techno and for Four to the Floor to spice it up a bit.
And what are you currently sort of working on? You always got a lot of tunes. Seems like it. What are you? Is there anything big you're working on?
Yeah, several projects are always overlapping each other. I definitely want to make a new album. That's in the making since a long time. I made a lot of like also ambient music and a lot of this breakbeat music also, but also more classic psy-techno things. So I have to see what I put more in focus. But to coordinate all of that, we started this new platform called Kafka Tempo. So there I will like put it all together and see what comes first out. And on the other hand, we still have our project called Vortex in Goa, India, which is like our regular beach event since almost 10 years. And there we put a lot of love inside, and there's also actually more coming. We also do now parties in Europe, in Portugal. So that's very exciting. It goes away from the label work, but now that's always a struggle between studio and stage, kind of find the balance.
So your label work, how many labels are you involved? I know you run at least one. How many labels are you involved in managing?
Right now it's actually only the Kafka Tempo and my old label Copy Cow, which is more down-tempo orientated with my good friend Timboletti. This still runs also since more than 10 years now. And I worked for a lot of other labels. From all my friends, it's like a passion whenever somebody in the network starts a new record label. It's like very exciting to go together and see what's possible all together without BD owning it. It's the same when a new club opens in town or a record shop. No, you go and check it out, spend maybe 1 hour more than necessary. That's what I feel is this positive aspect of the club work, which is in Europe very strong, thanks God. Even after many problems there, we kind of managed to build the economy, from the counterculture, if you want to say, which goes also into mainstream techno, but it's strong. That's a good thing. And what's the massive difference to Australia is also that we have so many small countries next to each other that playing something like a Europe tour is a completely different concept. No? You can play 20 gigs in Netherlands and then 20 in Belgium in theory, or just France, Spain, Germany, Italy, Sweden. And they are all very different mentalities, no? A lot of different styles. And Australia is really like a continent which is one country, so that reflects differently on the party scene, but very productive, as we can see.
Thank you. As far as managing labels, what do you think? Maybe you can name one aspect that you think is most important for a label to be successful. Maybe you can share some advice with new labels that are just starting.
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, there are several things. I think for one, it's really good to not try to save on resources if possible. When it's because the mastering quality is just very important. I figured for me it makes music feel more timeless in a way, less harsh. And the other things, of course, it's a classical advice, but you have to believe in your vision, because in the beginning it will always feel strange. I see this now also again with a fresh project that is a name really good, does a website, all these little aspects can drive you quite crazy, and you only have a couple of products in the beginning, so it doesn't feel like it's a solid boat. It feels more like a tiny little affair, and to go through this process is very important because it normally pays off. Because all the people also who buy music appreciate labels when they don't give up, and there's still one more release coming, and there's still one more coming, and with that way it builds up this nice drive, which attracts then also new musicians who might send you your material, but you didn't know them in the beginning. So the first 5-10 releases, maybe normal, you feel a bit isolated. The sales are not so much, there's not so much feedback maybe. That's normal. It's like it can take many years. Like a club also. There can be like a beautiful setting, everything's right, but still it takes maybe some years to really build up this reputation in the family circle around you. Without support, we cannot do anything actually.
Yes, but sometimes it seems like music doesn't get enough support, like especially underground music. What do you think? How do you think the whole international underground psychedelic music scene has been developing since you've become part of it? What changes have you seen? Where do you think it's heading?
This was many aspects in one. It's all first, like underground culture in general also is always linked on the social issues of our time. So it reflects what's happening in our societies. And it's very obviously that in the last 5 years everything feels much more under pressure. If it's war, inflation, COVID, so many aspects. Social injustice, it's like so obvious now, that we are all heading in a very not so easy to manageable time. So that is one problem, of course, and then all the social media who took over and retransforms underground. The border between underground and mainstream doesn't seem to be there so much anymore. It goes quite up and down, which is also interesting in a way because it feels like a melting process, which also will be very different in 10 years or something. And I see a lot of advance in the end because everybody is very much more flexible than it seems in the beginning, I think. Even under a lot of pressure, even under hard circumstances like Ukraine war, how they still manage to do events and focus them maybe differently, but there's always this need to make a good music event because it's not only about entertainment and fun, it has healing aspects. And in times where people feel very lonely also, I think the need in the end for gatherings can also increase a lot at some point. In the end it's only laws which also make a lot of things impossible, but some countries are more tolerant than others, and you can see, of course, it's good for the art scene and the music scene and for innovation and social community when you are open to music festivals, because it is a social institution, always was. That's that's maybe also the underground forgets this a bit itself. No, that's not only fun, but it's also about building social units which are strong, and they have a benefit. Like, when things really drastically change, it get hard. Then we can rely on each other, because of all those processes, which would be not possible without the music. Yeah.
What do you think now is the development of AI and its impact on music? What are your thoughts? Are you a bit concerned about it, or are you welcoming it and will be utilizing it? What do you think?
As for now, I'm watching it. I feel like a lot of things which get labeled that way were just, in the music production, you always had a function to randomize things. No, you can make your own drum beat. But you can also press randomize and voila, you have snare, hi-hat, kick, everything is nice and it's not even so bad. And it was there since forever, and now it's AI. A little bit, I feel. You just put, it's like a hectic Google search advance, of course. It's interesting. I don't see the massive danger there, to be really honest. Because it's easy to replace replaceable products. And when you make very simple, structured art, of course it's easy to replicate, So, but when you make a bit more more complex art, then you need more personality, And the problem is with AI, I see, is that it can always imitate, also when it writes a story for you, but it can never know why does this emotional reaction follows after that one. They just know from the numbers it always works. They do it like that in the movie, so let's also do it. But they never know why, why somebody gets angry after he was sad, and they just play it like cards, so it will never really attract your heart, I think.
And so you think there will never be a future without live human DJs?
Oh, that's possible. No, of course. No, that's easy. You can have everywhere a karaoke party system. Don't get me wrong. Will totally happen. This is where mainstream then will go, of course. I mean, it's a logical development of this hyper-capitalistic world, that they pretend to be that everybody can be everything at any time. So, of course, everybody can be a DJ already in our time, which is fine to me in the end of the day. Like, I remember also these days when there were only very few DJs, and we had to explain what it is. Also didn't make you feel great, It's like when today people complain a lot about, everybody can be a DJ. I'm like, okay, sorry, it doesn't shock me at all. I grew up in a culture where we teach each other to be artists, So why would I say there are only 1% of the population allowed to be DJs or something? No, it can push the innovation, when you have a lot of artists just in general.
So how and when did you get involved in electronic music as a DJ and as a producer, and which one was first?
Yeah, like 2002, 2003, we all started in my hometown in Germany with like a collective of people to pretty much do everything in the same year, start our own event. Everybody had already a vinyl collection, but also production came then very fast. Because this is teaching moment. Without all the friend networks, it would have taken so many more years. There were no tutorials and YouTube. Like you really had to call your friend in the night. How do I do this with the sample? It was exciting, but yeah, it was like very early in a way. But I was blessed having an underground culture around us. We had like this older generation, which just also were super welcoming. They were excited. There are fresh blood in town, and we try to keep the spirit alive like that.
Which artists can you name that are in the techno, minimal techno, up and coming, that are worth keeping an eye, or that you think are really, really good, that you can recommend?
That's a difficult question. I'm not prepared for this. Yeah, for me, I really find it difficult to point out single names because it put other people in the shadow. Because I mean, all the styles, it's like every music has their time of the night to be played. But yeah, I mean, there are a lot of good new labels. I miss more the labels which disappeared in COVID times. And I hope new ones will pop up. For me, it was always about labels in the end of the day. You know, they because they also put the artists together and put it into the logical story. Kind of, no? Me also as an artist was sometimes so happy to have a label boss picking out the tunes which I sent him, and then you are like, no, it makes sense. Forget the other 5, this other 5. You know, this kind of process. But yeah, and also in Vortex we celebrate this more older techno minimal, and we try to create it new. But it's really hard to find these days. But there are some labels. But yeah. No, I have to put this in the written form because there are too many. I pass, sorry.
Okay, fair enough, but it makes sense what you said. It's about the labels more. So I'm keen to hear what you played today, and always keen to hear your new music. I'm a fan, so thank you very much for your music. Looking forward to your set. Thank you very much for talking to me. Is there anything else that you would like to add to this interview, to say to the viewers?
Yeah, of course, it's great to be here, and really feels refreshing after being in cities now a lot. Finally I have like the Australian Bush feature in myself, and I hope to see everybody of you soon on the dance floor here or somewhere else. Rock and roll.
Well, technically you are in the city. They call Canberra bush capital.
Right, yeah. But bush capital really sounds also how it looks and feels, like very bushy and very relaxed, and like the people are so shanty, like we like to say in Goa.
Oh, thank you, and yeah, let's hear your set. I'm very keen. I'm gonna be there up front. So thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your time in Australia.
Massive love. Until next time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned. All the best.